Welcome to Let's Get It, the Atheist Roundtable. Toss the mic, tell us what's good tonight. Get this man a goddamn cam so we can plan to crush tonight. It's murder. It was the case they gave him. Even Jesus couldn't save him. He believes he'll slay him. Murder shed Steve got these thieves on their fucking knees. Ask Tjump where the murder shed be. Where the murder shed be.
Chop it up.
Why you asking all these questions? What are you suggesting? Why am I second guessing? Then GSEB surgically removing these hypotheses. Yeah, and get out the way. Get out the way. This kid don't play. If you got a God, I'd call him. If you got a book, I'd hide him. Just Jeff. Question so hard, they'll punch you in the chest. So the best bet, invest in a bulletproof vest. Oz, Ozzy, kamikaze. Run the track back and attack what we lack. Stand back, I unpack the counter attack. And the comeback, the sad sack. They should've never said that. Said that. And faith is bullshit as a matter of fact.
Which faith is bullshit.
Man, we're going down on a deep down.
Which faith is bullshit.
Hey, somebody mute Oz.
Which faith is bullshit. Which faith is bullshit. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. This is another TART Live debate. I'm Oz, your host, and we have a special guest with me tonight, and he's going to help to mod, host, and also make sure we roast the hell out of Pastor John for the next hour and a half. So, David Smalley, great to have you at the Atheist Roundtable. How you doing, man?
Thanks for having me, man. This is good. I'm doing good. I'm feeling good. I'm fasting. I'm intermittent fasting. I'm juicing. I'm cutting weight. I feel amazing. I'm ready to roast some people. Let's have a good time.
Awesome. Let's get it. And is there anything particular you're fasting for? You're asking the Lord for? Or?
Yeah, faith. But I'm assuming at some point, I hear that if you starve yourself enough, yet also crave some random cracker, you'll somehow be better. So I'm working on the first part, and we'll see. We'll see if I get the faith at some point.
Awesome. Well, we have two great guests with us for the debate tonight, and they're going to be talking about the philosophy of morality. So very excited to have Tjump back to the Atheist Roundtable. He's a return guest of ours. And then Bradley, it's his first time here on a live show with us for the Atheist Roundtable, and I'm ready to see these two guys get it on. What's up, guys?
Good evening. How you doing?
Doing good. Mr. Jump, how are you?
All right. A little tired.
Yeah, your energy's high right now. It's like way.
I was going to say, I think that intro is probably the most.
Whoa, calm down, bro.
Cool. So, just real quick, guys, before we jump into to the dialogue, a couple of things. I already shared the topic. They'll start with 10-minute opening statements, and then we're just going to go into an open conversation, open dialogue. We'll do it that way. Real quick, if you would. Bradley, just share how they can find you, YouTube, all the social medias, that kind of thing.
I got you. So my YouTube page is going to be called Alternate Media, alternate spelled ALTARNATE. So the altar is kind of like, the altar in the Temple of Jerusalem kind of thing. Media spelled normal. That'll be my YouTube page. You can find me on TikTok, Alternate Media Brad. That would be me. I work with my colleague Seamus. He's not here tonight, but you'll see him in my YouTube videos. I've also got an Instagram. I don't really use that. Media spelled normal.
Was that you?
Yeah, that's it. I don't.
No, go ahead. Is that it?
Yeah, that's
okay.
it.
I'm sorry. I couldn't tell if you got cut off or not. Tjump, where can they find you, sir?
I've got a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/tjump. That's where I usually am. I like money. Money is nice. My Patreon. I have a Patreon. You can put money in it. Put money in it. You'll see Oz's OnlyFans. You'll get access to Oz's OnlyFans. It'll be great. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for that, Tjump. I love it when you push the traffic to my fan zone. I usually see a bump anytime that you advertise it on your page, so I appreciate that. So what we'll do here is Tom, we'll have you go first here. The 10 minutes. As soon as you start to speak, I will hit the stopwatch.
All right, cool. So I'm an atheist, but I believe in objective morality. One of the common misconceptions that many theists and many atheists have is that you can't believe in objective morality without a God, and that's just not the case. Most philosophers are moral realists, like 50-something%, and most philosophers are atheists, like 70-something%. So only like 15%, I think, are theists. So you can have objective morality without a God perfectly fine. In fact, most philosophers think you can't have an objective morality with a God anyway, so you need to have one without a God. And the way you can justify that is by saying it's a part of nature. There is some part of nature that is objective, that exists independently of our opinions, and that grounds morality, just like the law of gravity grounds gravity. In this case, in my particular model, I think morality is grounded as an emergent higher order property, kind of like fitness. So animals have certain levels of fitness. They can survive in more or less environments than others. And that's an objective feature of the world, independent of our thoughts and opinions. And similarly, there's this feature called morality, and that is a different higher order emergent property. Instead of describing the different amount of environment certain species can survive in, it describes certain kinds of interactions that agents can have within environments. And so it exists independently, objectively, outside of human opinion, and it describes features of the world that exists independently of opinion. So it's objective. And this position is called moral naturalism. You can go to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, go to moral naturalism if you want a more detailed explanation of it. The basis of this is we look at what we call the evidence of morality, the fact, moral intuition, moral progress. So it's like if we see a cup fall over, and we say, well, what caused the cup to fall over? It could be like a squirrel or whatever. And the evidence of the squirrel is the cup fell over, and then we have to do something else. We have to say, well, if it was the squirrel that knocked it over, we can make a prediction, like say, well, if we look at the cup, we'll see like squirrel droppings around the cup or whatever. If we confirm that, that's good evidence of the squirrel. The same thing applies to morality. So we see the phenomenon like the cup falling over, which would be moral intuition and moral progress. These are the things we see that we describe as the moral phenomenon, the thing we're trying to explain. It's possible it's purely just subjective, but it's also possible it's objective and it's describing some feature of the world. And if it's describing a feature of the world, then like the squirrel, we need to make some kind of novel testable predictions to say, to give us a reason to believe it's objective and not just a subjective product of the mind. My personal testable predictions are about how intuition is going to change in the future, how we're going to start to see morality is not pertaining to only actions done by agents, but any action done to agents. For example, if a rock falls on you, that'll be seen as immoral long in the future. And if my testable predictions are confirmed, that's good evidence if my hypothesis is correct. There's lots of other hypotheses of moral naturalism without a God, and they make different hypotheses about how morality works. So my model essentially goes by looking at moral intuition and moral progress. We see what are the patterns that we can see in these two phenomena and try to make a principle that describes these patterns. I believe the principle is any involuntary imposition of will is bad. I think that is the conclusion of what we see when we're talking about morality. When we look at moral intuition, moral progress, what is the principle that describes these the most accurately? I think it's any involuntary imposition of will is immoral. And so that if we take that principle to its extreme, we get this idea of the best of all possible worlds. What the world would look like if it was perfectly moral would be one where it's logically impossible for any being to force any other being to do anything they don't consent to to themselves, to their universe or whatever. And I think that is the extreme of morality. Like if we want to make a objective standard of morality, that would be it. For example, if you came across a genie at a beach, like what would you wish for? This would be the correct wish. You should wish for, genie, I want you to create the best of all possible worlds for all possible wills, where it's impossible for any one person to force anyone else to do anything they don't consent to. No involuntary imposition of will. So I think that that is the best basis of objective morality we have. I think it works as a objective basis better than any other basis I've seen, any other model I've seen, especially theism. And that's the one I subscribe to. I will yield the rest of my time.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Tjump, for that. And David, were you convinced? Do we need to hear anything else?
I actually am another one of those atheists who acknowledges objective morality. So it's rare that I find another human who connects there. So I have nothing to roast him on yet, which is kind of disappointing. Other than his energy reminds me of Sleepy Joe, and I'll just stop right there.
Very good, Bradley. As soon as you begin to speak, good sir, I will start the clock.
All right. Can I first say that, gentlemen, it's great to be here. I've been on here once before, but it was a little less formal. So this is going to be an awesome experience, and I'm very grateful to have this opportunity. I think it's a fascinating subject, actually, the whole concept of morality, be it objective or subjective. You get into the dichotomies of, okay, so is capital punishment wrong? And people who tend to say that that's wrong tend to also think that, the pro-choice side of the aisle on that front is the more moral stance. And then you've got the vice versa. So I can't say I've ever actually heard somebody make the statement that it's impossible to have a objective morality with a deity. I'm actually interested to hear a little more on the perspective of that, but be that as it may, I'm not going to say that it's outrightly impossible to have an objective morality without a deity. I find it to be logically difficult, but I'm curious to certainly find out more on that front. So that's pretty much all I've got to say. I'll yield my time on that.
Great. All right. So that was I'm used to Tjump's opening comments being like 2 or 3 minutes and done. So that was a change of pace. That was awesome. So what we'll do is open it up for open dialogue here, guys. So Tom, if you want to start off there, anything that Bradley just said, we'll get to rocking and rolling. And David, if we feel like either one of us want to jump in and roast, jump in and have a little fun with the guys, but especially Pastor John. I don't want to forget about him. But guys,
I don't recall. Yeah, I'm hoping Tjump. Did I say that? Is it Tjump? Is that what you go by?
Yeah.
Right.
You can just call me King Master of the Universe too. That works.
I'll stick with Tjump. Yeah, I think I would love to hear you respond to his question about how it's impossible to have objective morality with a deity. My assumption would be that anything the deity wants becomes moral, therefore it's subjective according to that God. But I'm assuming you have a much better philosophical answer than that.
Yeah, it's called the Euthyphro dilemma. So is something good because God said it's good, or did God say it's good because it's good based off some independent standard? If it's only good because he said it's good, then it's arbitrary and subjective. And if it's good based off some independent standard, and he's just referring to that independent standard, well, then you don't need the God. It's objective based off of the independent standard, not the God. So any God-based morality is going to be subjective because it's going to be contingent on the God's say-so or his opinion or whatever his nature. If it's his nature, well, then that's something independent of his choices, and so you can just reference his nature and you don't need the God.
Okay, I definitely understand the premise. I think it's a fundamental misunderstanding of God in the greater scheme of the cosmos, though. I mean, the idea being that if God is all that existed before the cosmos, then it's good because God says so, not because it's inherently so.
Okay, so that would mean that it's arbitrary, because if it's only good because God said so, then that means that the only determining factor is like if we were walking down the street and you said, what is 3 feet long? And I said, that stick is 3 feet long. Well, what makes it 3 feet long? If it's made 3 feet long just because I said it, well, I could have just said any stick is 3 feet long, and the answer would be equally as justified. So if the thing that makes it 3 feet long is my say so, then it's arbitrary. If the thing that makes it 3 feet long is that there's a comparison from its length to some objective measure like a ruler or a yardstick or whatever, then you have an independent standard, which means you don't need me anymore. You can just get rid of me and compare it to the yardstick. So if the thing that makes it moral is only the gods say so, that makes it arbitrary and subjective, because you're not comparing it to a moral standard, you're comparing it to a God said so standard. And you need that independent kind of reference point, like the yardstick, to actually say it's an objective standard, because objective means independent of thought or opinion.
So the problem I'm having there, though, is that you inserted there that you're not comparing it to a moral standard, and the problem is that morality itself didn't exist until God brought it into being.
Even if that was true, that would still mean you need to compare it to an independent standard. It can't just be, even if he created it, the objective properties of the thing he created still have to be measured independently of his say so. He can't just say it's the case, because that still makes it arbitrary. The truth making proposition has to be that a comparison between an objective thing, objective as an independent of thought or opinion, to compare it to, otherwise it is subjective by definition.
Okay, yeah, I think I could actually concede that it's subjective. I'm fine with that. Let's say I believe in a subjective morality, and I believe that God's morality is the subjective morality that is then objective.
I don't think it can be subjective and objective at the same time. I think that's a contradiction.
How so?
Because subjective means not objective, and objective means not subjective. They're opposite.
Yes, but if nothing existed prior to God, then there was nothing to compare it to in the first place. So his would be the first example.
Right. So I can grant that you can have subjective morality. That's perfectly possible, but it can't be subjective and objective. That would be a contradiction.
Not in terms of, I guess, election. See, the trouble with a subjective morality on a peer-to-peer level is that you and I are both human beings. Therefore, we are equal. Okay. So in your terms, it would not be within my power to exert my moral views over you as an individual, being that we are equals, right? So if we have a disagreement on morality, then it's moot and arbitrary. However, God is a higher being than us. Therefore, he then, being the creator of all, actually has the authority to call the shots.
No, not really. So authority doesn't make things true or false. Authority is just judgment about truth or falsity. So it doesn't actually, it's not the truth maker of a statement. So for example, if I'm the only being in the universe, no God, nothing, anything else, and I'm walking down a street I created and said, well, what is a 3-foot stick? I'm saying that is a 3-foot stick. You still have the same problem. Like if it's only 3 foot because I said so, you still don't have an objective measure independent of thought or opinion. So it's still subjective to me, even though I'm the only being in the universe. So it doesn't matter. What makes it subjective and what makes subjectivity a problem isn't that we're comparing you and me. That doesn't matter at all. What matters is the origin of what makes the proposition true or false. Is it true because someone said so? Is it because of a mind, an opinion, a thought, something of that nature? Or is it true based off some independent standard that exists in the world objectively as an independent of mind or thought? So it's not really about comparing our different subjective worldviews. It doesn't matter how many minds there are, which minds you're comparing to make it still subjective, even if there's only one.
Right. But like, you understand what I'm saying is that you're operating from a premise that there are some things that are inherent in and of themselves independent of God, say physics, for example. So the problem is that if God created physics, he determines what they are. And that makes it so, thereby making it objective.
No. So if physics exists, like if he creates physics and then physics then exists independently of him, then physics is subjective because it exists independently of him. If it only exists like in God's mind, like if you're an idealist in that kind of a sense, then it would be subjective to God's mind. It wouldn't be objective. So if God created morality then exists independent of God. It is now a separate entity. If it only exists in God's mind, then it's not a separate entity. It's just in his head.
So the trouble there, and this is just going to be I'm going to chalk this up to a difference in paradigm of belief here, because personally, I don't believe that anything exists independent of God, probably more so than any Christian you've debated, because Judaism's ideas on the independence of God and creation are a little bit unique. So for instance, if you were to build a chair, say the one that you're sitting on, you can actually walk away from that chair and that chair will still exist on its own. However, biblically speaking, the creation does not work that way. Were God to actually walk away from the creation, it would simply cease to exist. because what exists in his mind and how he created it is the only thing that's actually binding it together as it is. Therefore, physics actually is in the mind of God inherently and continually.
So in your worldview, everything is subjective to God.
Absolutely.
Okay, I can grant that you have subjective morality in that worldview, but it wouldn't be objective in that sense.
Well, it's objective in that there is nothing that would be independent of him at that point.
Sure. So just by the definition of objective and subjective, that would just mean it's a subjective morality.
It's in other words, it's objective to us.
I don't think that works. So if, for example, I'm a being and I create a whole bunch of other beings and I say that stick is 3 feet long, it's not objective to those people, because objective isn't something based off of a reference frame of individuals. It doesn't matter how many individuals there are or who created the individuals or what their perspective is. Objective means it's true, independent of mind or thought. So it's not, it doesn't matter if God created morality and then said it's subjective. It doesn't do anything. It's still subjective to him. Again, what makes something objective or subjective, what makes the proposition true, is what is the origin? Does it come from a mind, or does it come from something independent of a mind, essentially? And so if it comes from mind, it doesn't matter where we are in the situation. It's still subjective because it still comes from a mind. But like, how could my opinion, like I say blue is the best color ever or something, and say I create a whole bunch of infinitely many beings or something, is blue the best color objectively true for them because I said it so? Like, is blue subjectively true, and they really don't make a difference whether they exist or not?
Well, so that's the thing, is that if you created a standard for your creation to work by, then for them it is objective.
So again, definition of objective: true, independent of mind or thought or opinion. So it can't be objective for one person but not objective for another, because
again, that's the problem is I guess I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you, but I guess the schism here is that you appear to me to be functioning under the notion that God's mind and our minds are on an equal playing field.
No, so it doesn't matter what the playing field is. So if I say I like chocolate ice cream and I am God or whatever, it's not objectively true that chocolate ice cream is the best ice cream just because I like it. It's still contingent on my mind. It doesn't matter if I created a whole bunch of beings. Objective doesn't mean a God tells you so. Objective means true, independent of thought or opinion. So it can't be true, independent of thought and opinion, and not independent of an opinion at the same time. It's like P or not P. It can't be the thing and not the thing at the same time. So it doesn't matter. It can't be objective for us. That is a self-contradictory statement. Something can't be objective for us because objective means true, independent of thought or opinion. Like something something has weight if it has mass. It can't have weight if it doesn't have mass, essentially. So if you're saying that it's objective for us, then what you're saying is it's objective. It's true, independent of any thought or opinion, no matter whose it is.
I'm going to say that I disagree, because in these terms, a computer can only operate in the way that it's programmed.
Sure.
Therefore, the standard for that computer is objective to the mind of whoever programmed it.
No, it would still be subjective because they just made it up.
It's subjective if you're thinking in terms of other computers. However, if that's the only one that exists because that's the only one that's been created and programmed within that system, it is objective.
So, for example, can a number be positive for me but not positive for you? Like is 7? Can 7 be a positive number?
We're operating within the same system.
Well, the system doesn't matter. Like if it's just an objective fact.
Well, no, it's actually crucial to the paradigm.
So
you and I exist on the same playing field.
Can God exist for you but not exist for me?
Oh, no, not at all.
So there's an objective fact. Like if it's true, then it's true for both of us. It's objectively true. So it's true for both of us, regardless of our position in the system.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if it's true regardless of opinion, if it's true for everyone equally, then it can't be like true for you and not true for me, because what it means to be objectively true, it's true independent. Like if there were no minds, it would still be true.
Okay. So I would tend to agree with that. Where are you going with that though?
So whether or not I exist or you exist would have no impact on the objectivity or subjectivity of morality. What we're asking is the morality true independent of a mind at all, any mind, anywhere in the universe? So you can't say it's objective for us because that doesn't make sense because we're asking, is it independent of a mind?
So that's actually I'm seeing a paradigm problem because you keep referring to yourself and myself when in terms of the computer analogy, you and I exist in the same computer. Therefore, we are subject, you and I both, to the same objective truth that exists within that system designed by the one who programmed it.
Hey guys, real quick, if we could put a pin on that just for a second. I know David had a quick question that he wanted to ask while we were backstage.
Yeah, this is fascinating, guys. It's a great discussion. I have a question for Brad, though.
Okay.
Is it objectively morally good that God made humans?
Objectively morally good.
When God did it and then said it is good, does that make it objectively morally good that he created mankind?
Yeah.
Well, then in Genesis 6:6, God said he repented that he made humans. So then did it become objectively morally bad that God made humans because he regretted it?
That's actually a fascinating question.
The concept is a thought experiment to say what you believe in is actually fully and wholly a subjective morality based on the whims of God and his attitude at that moment.
So here is what I'm going to ask you, though. Are you positive that repent is the word that he used? Is that the word teshuva?
I believe so. I would have to do the study of it, I guess. But yeah, I believe the most translations say, and the Lord regretted, the Lord repented that he had made man.
So regretted and repented are not the same thing.
Okay.
And that's going to go. That's why I asked you if the specific Hebrew word in the text would be teshuva, because that is inherently different from regretting.
I believe the KJV
actually
says repented.
The which translation was that?
KJV.
That makes sense.
But regardless, I mean, are you saying that God can regret doing something morally good?
I would say the subject is a little more complex than that, given human free will.
Okay, then give me another example of something God does in the Bible that is objectively morally good. And then I have one more follow-up after your answer, and then I'll step out of the conversation. But
something else that God did that was objectively morally good. I would say any other aspect of creation. I mean, he looked at all of it and said it was good.
Stopping Abraham from killing his son. How about?
Yeah. Okay. That's one we can certainly agree on.
So what about the king who he didn't stop from killing his daughter?
Right. So that was my follow-up, Tjump. So that's the point. So God stopped something from objectively morally bad happening, which is Abraham killing Isaac. But if God were to command that and allow it to happen and allow it to continue as he did with the Amalekites in 1 Samuel 15:3, go kill the infant babies, the nursing children and all of that, does it become morally good to kill a nursing infant because God said so? If so, back to the Euthyphro dilemma, it's completely subjective, and it's not objectively morally bad to kill an infant or to kill a child, because if God says so, now it's a morally good thing to do, even though we understand it as causing harm and, objectively bad.
Or more specifically, like Jataf, I think is his name, where he said he prayed to God. He said, "Let me win this battle, and I'll sacrifice the first thing that comes through my door when I get home." Yeah. I mean, that was his daughter, and so it's literally the same story.
So it also doesn't say sacrifice there, but be that as it may, we'll move on from that. That's a discussion for another time.
Well, actually, I've researched this, and the consensus is that he did actually burn her. That was the consensus of the academics on the translation.
After she went,
which Talmudic tractate are you drawing that from?
The academic consensus of the interpretation. So it's a meta study of the academics who are studying the Hebrew and translating it, from the document itself, this is the consensus interpretation of the experts.
So that's why I asked which Talmudic tractate you derived that from, because they are the experts. That is the academic standard by which you need to be judging the text. You can't really take outsiders not native to the language and then use that to extrapolate what it actually means. You should probably the people who actually grew up speaking the language natively and have also grown up with the texts themselves.
Right, but let's not distract too far. I mean, the point here is God deciding to do things that you would have said are objectively morally bad, which brings the point home that it's really just about God's subjectivity. With God being in charge, it's really impossible, as Tjump said, for you to have an objective moral standard, because it's really just up to God. Because if God says something's bad, you say it's objectively bad. But then later in the book or in your life or in anyone's life, if God then makes an order that you would see as objectively morally bad, it becomes good in that moment for believers anyway.
Again, what I'm going to say at this point is that it's up to the programmer, not to me, who exists in the programmed system. So to go off of your example, okay, using the example of a nursing infant, okay, can you rationalize to me why that is bad?
Yes, because it causes undue harm unnecessarily to innocent life.
Why is that bad, though?
Because we know that that's not sustainable, and we know what pain feels like. We know that killing something and stopping that thing from living is something we wouldn't want to happen to us. And we can also understand when you look at it through the veil of ignorance, knowing that you're going to be coming to earth, not knowing if you're going to be the soldier or if you're going to be the infant Amalekite. If you didn't know which one you were going to be, you probably could unbiasedly say that you being murdered as an infant would be a bad thing. Therefore, you can classify that as bad without your bias. It removes your subjectivity.
So if I'm understanding your perspective, okay, if I could sum it up, if we can conclude for ourselves that it's something we wouldn't want done to us, then we could conclude that for the general population of most other people, they would feel the same way, and therefore it makes it a universal truth of sorts. Is that kind of what you're arguing?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. I'm kind of trying to process what you just said. So I'm trying to repeat it in a way that you would agree with, so I know that I'm understanding exactly what you're saying.
I appreciate that. Give me one more shot at it. Do that again.
So, like, if I'm understanding what you're saying, if it's something that we can think internally for ourselves and conclude that we wouldn't want done for us, then we would logically conclude that the general populace of everyone else would probably feel the same way about themselves. And therefore, we can conclude it's a universal truth that, murder is bad because I wouldn't want to be murdered. Therefore, I shouldn't murder you.
That's close. It's really the veil of ignorance is a good mechanism to remove the bias. So it's not really about what you want. It's about what's good for the creature versus causing undue harm against a creature, right? So the more specific you get, now, keep in mind, and this isn't my debate, but I came here to be a jackass. I just couldn't help getting into this fascinating conversation. But in this concept here, we're talking about the more specific one gets with a specific moral claim, the more detailed we can get in calling it objective or subjective. But the more subjective you get with something, or the more vague you get, the more likely it is to be subjective. I think there are, of course, moral issues that are subjective, right? Running a stop sign when no one's around in the middle of the desert, right? That's a subjective thing. Not all moral is objective, but there are moral objective truths. And that's how we would get to that, by removing the bias, using the mechanism of the veil of ignorance by John Rawls. I'm sure you're familiar. So that's where I'm coming from with that. And the issue with God in the Bible is God will say something is against the rules, say something is bad, say something is evil, and then turn around in the next book and literally command that thing to happen to a group of people he doesn't like being the key word. And where Tjump is coming from, that makes the morality that you're standing upon completely and wholly subjective because it's up to God.
Okay. So I guess from the paradigm that you're arguing, it would be in your paradigm, you view God as saying, you know, murder is bad, and then turning around and saying go murder other people.
Yeah,
is kind of what you're arguing from.
Right. Murder is bad. Murder who I tell you to murder.
Okay. So what? So you would agree then that murder is bad.
Not in every situation, but murder, if by murder you mean an unlawful killing, perhaps, but it just depends on the situation. I don't think all murder is objectively morally wrong.
Can you give an example where it wouldn't be?
Well,
self-defense.
Yeah, but self-defense wouldn't be illegal, and I guess it just depends on the situation.
Self-defense doesn't technically qualify as murder, but
right.
Point taken.
So I think like if I killed my daughter's rapist, you know, if she was being raped and I killed him, maybe even immediately after the fact where she's no longer in danger, I don't know if that's such a terrible thing morally.
So because obviously you would agree that rape is immoral.
Yes.
Okay. So in your paradigm, then death would be an adequate punishment for rape.
I can't say that in every situation. It depends on several things. I'm more of a consequentialist who acknowledges there are a few objective moral truths. But so when you just, again, the more vague, like in other words, if you were to say, is it wrong to hurt a baby? Well, when we give a baby a vaccine, we're hurting the baby. So no, not in every sense. But if you were to say, is it wrong to torture a baby with pain just for your enjoyment of watching the baby suffer? Yes, that is very detailed and complex and specific. And I can tell you that is objectively morally wrong because the good coming out of it does not justify the harm being caused to the creature.
I'm a moral absolutist, so I think that murder is always wrong in all cases, no matter what. So if you want to just go from that position, we can go from there.
Oh yeah, you're completely wrong then. Kick his ass, Brad.
All right, so real quick, we'll start round two here with the gentlemen that are debating tonight. So we have Bradley and Tjump, and then we're here to have fun. But I do want to say that was a boss question, David. That's the first time I've heard it presented like that. So that was awesome. But we'll get to it. Brad, if you could make sure that the cord on your mic is plugged all the way in. It sounds like it might be a little bit loose for me, please. And we'll get to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, round two, fight.
Well, okay. So yeah, I'm a moral absolutist. I think that killing is always wrong in all cases, no matter what. So if God's killing people unnecessarily or changes his mind, it's subjectively immoral.
Okay. Okay. So if you could you explain to me the why you believe killing is wrong?
Because there's always a more moral option. Anytime you could kill someone, if you had infinite power, you could do something better without the killing.
Can you give an example?
Sure. So like, let's say a murderer is trying to kill me and my family or whatever. If I had all powerful, I could snap my fingers and we could just teleport away and we wouldn't have to kill him. Or I could snap my fingers and give every single human being their own universe and they could just do whatever they wanted with it without any hurting of anybody else. Or like I said in my genie example, create the best of all possible worlds where it's impossible for any one being to force anyone else to do anything without their consent. And so that option is always going to be better than killing someone without their consent.
Okay, so in a realm of impossibilities, there's always a more moral option is kind of what you're saying.
Well, no, because all of those are logically possible. They're all physically possible, and once we have the technology, we humans will be able to do it.
Okay. I see where you're coming from on that front. I don't necessarily agree, but that's a separate discussion. So So but you do agree that murder is wrong.
Yes.
Okay. What do you believe is an adequate punishment for that?
Punishment doesn't make a difference to morality, so something is right or wrong independent of the punishments. So I don't like the system of punishments is purely pragmatic. It's like saying, well, this is what we do to try to prevent it in the future, but that's it. So there's no like any punishment you give is always going to be immoral too. Like if you throw someone in jail, then throwing them in jail is also going to be immoral because if you had a all powerful, there's going to be an even better option. Like for example, Sam Harris uses this example of a psychopath. Like if a psychopath was killing somebody and we could go into the future 500 years where we have the technology to just cure your psychopathy so you can feel empathy and love, which you weren't able to before, then the correct thing to do would not be to throw him in prison. It would be to give him the pill and cure him of psychopathy and treat him like a victim of his biology because he doesn't deserve to be punished. He's a victim of his biology. And so there isn't really punishment isn't justified at all ever. It's just something we do pragmatically to try and prevent more harm in the future because we don't have the technological capability to do otherwise. If we did, we could prevent all harm.
So more or less, it's kind of a morality based on a law of infinite possibility.
No.
Or a hypothesis of infinite possibility, because
No.
I guess what I'm asking is because we're talking about hypotheticals now. You've brought hypotheticals into the conversation now, where okay, so there's obviously a better moral option than punishing a murderer in any kind of way, because in the future, maybe one day we might be able to solve the problem without immorality. So, in terms of like a psychopath, so you brought up the psychopath, and you say there's a pill that we invent in the future that cures that problem, or a vaccine, what have you. That's a hypothetical. That's not something based in reality.
All hypotheticals are based in reality. So, for example, Einstein had a thought experiment. Hypotheticals are also known as thought experiments. Einstein had a thought experiment of traveling faster than the speed of light on a train and falling at an elevator from space. People had hypotheticals of traveling faster than sound 500 years ago. Hypotheticals are just imagining things that are logically possible. So they're all based in reality. It would only not be based in reality if it was like a square circle. Then it would be not logically possible. So, for example, I can just give a pragmatic example. Like there is a person in Papua New Guinea where they don't have any medicine, and someone has an infection on their leg. He's going to have to cut their leg off to save their life. Now, obviously, that isn't the most moral option. The most moral option is to take them to a hospital, which exists 1,000 miles away, and just cure them of the disease. Clearly, he can't do that, but it's cutting the leg off isn't the most moral option there. It's just the best he can do with his limited power. So the thought experiment about the future and the time works exactly the same as the thought experiment as the one between locations of the different technological abilities.
So you believe that one day we actually will have a medication of sorts to cure the condition of being a psychopath?
Yes, absolutely. We're already working on it, and there's already progress being made on that.
Gotcha. What if the psychopath doesn't want to take it?
Then we'd probably throw them in prison as a secondary option because it's the least thing we can do, the second least worst thing we can do.
What if he doesn't want to be thrown into prison?
He doesn't get the choice. We're going to force him to do it. That's usually what prison means.
But I thought you said any involuntary imposition of the will is bad.
Right. So it's the least involuntary imposition we can do. So if we can give him the pill, then we don't throw him in prison. If we can't give him the pill, then we throw him in prison, just like if we don't have the pill at all.
So what you're saying is that at some point we do have to punish immorality in some way.
Well, again, it's not a punishment; it's a pragmatic limitation. So we're not punishing you for it. It's like a bear. If a bear is trying to kill people, we put it in a cage or we shoot it. We're not punishing the bear. It's just we're trying to prevent it from harming other people. The same would be applied to a psychopath. It's not deserving of punishment. It's just this is what we have to do pragmatically to prevent further harm.
Right, but why do you get to decide that if it's involuntary for them?
We're doing it to protect the other people who he's going to involuntarily murder. So we're taking their involuntary imposition that he's going to impose on them and saying, killing those people is bad. We should prevent him from doing that, and we're going to lock him up, which is less of an involuntary imposition than letting him kill all of those people. Or the bear.
This is kind of a your moral stance, if I'm understanding this correctly, is you're an absolute, you're a moral absolutist, but based on a system of the greater good.
The greater good would be a moral absolute. That means one of them is greater than the other.
Well, and that's what we're discussing here, though, is so you're a moral absolutist. You believe that any imposition of the will involuntarily is a bad thing. However, for the greater good, that is permissible and moral. Therefore,
no. So it's a justified immoral action. It's not moral. It's not permissible. It's still immoral. It's just justified because of our limitations. So it's still wrong to do it because there's always going to be a better option.
So if immorality is justifiable, that basically renders it subjective.
No, it's because there's the only kind of
if something is bad, it is inherently bad, regardless.
Yeah, justifiable doesn't mean good. It's still bad. Justifiable immoral action is still immoral.
No.
Yes.
If it's justifiable, now we've gone into the realm of morality.
No, that's not what justifiable means.
How does it not?
Justifiable means that there's some precursor that means this is the best you could do at the time. So it's like, it doesn't mean it's moral. It just means there's some caveat there.
It means it's more moral.
No. Literally not what it means. So justifiable means able to be shown is reasonable. So you can say it's a reasonable thing. It doesn't mean it's right or good or moral.
Justifiable means it's a just decision. So we're talking legal renderings at this point.
Yeah, legal renderings are pragmatic, not moral. So again, you can have a reasonable decision here, like a trolley problem. You can choose to flip the switch and it'll run over one person, or it'll run over 5 persons if you don't flip the switch. It's still immoral to kill the one person, but it's justifiable because you don't have a better option. But there still is a better option. You can say if you had the power to save all of them, that would be the more moral option. So there's an objective moral, there's an objective immoral, which is kill all 6 of them. And there's a middle ground, the justifiable action of trying to save the one or the 5. It's still immoral to kill the one objectively, but it's justified given your limitations. So your use of justification is a straw man to moral naturalism's view of morality. So no, that doesn't apply to mine. You may want to use it that way, but I don't.
Okay. So I guess my next question then would be why, how do you determine who gets to decide what the justifiable reasons are?
Physical limitations, like reality gets to decide. Like if I physically can't lift a train to get it out of the way, then that's not an option for me. So the only physical thing I'm capable of doing is flipping the switch. So reality determines what's justifiable there.
And you believe that is universal?
Yes, I have no idea what you're asking there. What is universal?
So, like, I guess what I'm asking is, how to relay this? Because if we're talking about morality as an objective standard, that would be universal. That means that's all around for everybody, everywhere in the world. Would you'd agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the limitation or capability of what can be achieved to subvert immorality, be it whatever justifiable means you can, that you would agree is also a universal standard?
What is? Say that again.
So if morality itself is a universal standard, okay,
yes.
And if what we determine justifies the subversion of morality to prevent greater immorality, is based on limitation and
Yes.
ability, then that's inherently.
Yeah, that would be the criterion of what determines what's justified. Like if you are physically incapable of stopping the train, then you are justified in doing a less moral action by like flipping the switch, because you physically are incapable of doing the more moral thing.
That's interesting. That's actually not a perspective I've ever heard. I certainly don't necessarily agree, because then that would still again render moral judgments differing in different nations based on their abilities. Third world countries would undoubtedly have a lower morality than first world countries as far as their legal mitigation.
Right. That's totally true. Like in our society, if a doctor cuts off a person's leg because they have a staph infection, that would clearly be immoral. We would prosecute them for that. But if someone in Papua New Guinea cuts someone's leg off because they have a staph infection, they're saving the person's life. I mean, clearly we do hold them to a different standard based off of those limitations.
Yeah, I guess again, why?
Because the doctor here is capable of doing less harm but saving the person's life, but is choosing not to. They have the capability of doing less harm easily, and they're not doing it. So they are causing unjustified harm there, whereas the person in Papua New Guinea is doing the best they can given their limitations to prevent the greater involuntary imposition of will.
So then legally we're going to impose will on the doctor at that point, who would rather choose to do something else.
Right, to try and prevent anyone else from making that decision and causing more unnecessary harm.
Right. So you do believe in a world where immorality can be chosen and it's still immorality?
No. So again, it's not chosen, it's determined by the physical limitations of reality. So if the doctor didn't realistically have the ability to give someone some kind of antibacterial to stop the staph infection, and they had to cut the leg off because reality determined otherwise, then they would be justified in doing it. But that's determined by reality, not by people. So it's not a choice. There's no choice.
The possibility is certainly determined by reality, but in the long run, it's going to take a tribunal of persons to determine that.
Right. It takes a tribunal of persons to determine whether or not we know it was justified. But epistemology, what we know, and ontology, what is objectively the case, are two separate things. So it can be known, like it's a fact of reality far before we know it. We just make a tribunal like scientists to try and determine it after the fact. Our knowledge is something separate from the fact of the matter.
All right, guys. Another pin there. Mr. Smalley had a question for Mr. Tjump this time.
Yeah, I'm switching teams. So
We're going down.
So here's the thing. So this was way back. I've been begging these guys in backstage to let me in this. This is fucking torture for me. I'm sitting here watching this conversation, and I want to be involved so bad. And I want to say stuff, and I can't. And on my show, I get to talk all the damn time. So this is hard for me. It's really fascinating though. And Tjump, I heard you say that say that what you said again about it being immoral, even if it's justified. Say that thing again.
Yeah, so in immoral action, you have two options, like kill one person versus kill 5 people. It's still immoral to kill the one, but it's justified because it's the least immoral thing you can do given your limitations.
If it's the least immoral thing, it's the most moral thing you have in that moment, right? Therefore,
yes, but it's still immoral.
So, meaning, if you were to walk up on a rape happening in the moment and you shoot the rapist and he dies, you prevented a rape. Are you saying it is immoral that you prevented the rape, even though it's justified that you killed the person?
It's moral to save the girl and immoral to kill the guy. So it's two actions there. One is you're saving the girl, which is moral, and one is you're killing the guy, which is immoral. And you can know that because there is a more moral option, which is stop the rape if you had the power to do so without killing him.
You told Brad a moment ago that something can't be subjective and objective at the same time, and I agreed with you. Correct. And I think you're falling into that same trap by saying that something can be moral and immoral at the same time. If the only way to stop the rape is to kill the rapist in that moment, then it becomes the moral thing to do in that situation to justifiably kill that person to save the innocent person.
No, you're conflating. There's two actions there. You're killing the guy and saving the girl. Those are two different things.
They
So
have to have.
That's still two different things. The fact that like pushing one domino over to push two dominoes over is still two dominoes. So there's two things there, and you could both do both like separately. If you were like a god or whatever, you could teleport the guy and then you save the girl without killing the guy. You could just kill the guy if no girl's there. Both of those actions are two independent actions. The fact that you're limited in the fact that you have to do one possible structure to get to that two actions done doesn't mean they're not two actions. They're still two actions. And you have to address them as two different actions.
Right. I get that. But because I'm limited, I only have a few options. So I made the moral decision with what I had available to me according to physics.
Right, which was to kill the guy, which is still a justified immoral action. Like if you could, you should have done better. But
I just completely disagree. It's a justified moral action because of the situation. You're killing someone who is doing something terrible, and you have to kill them in order to.
There's no such thing as a justified moral action. That's
if I can, I'm just going to say I disagree. First of all, it's not actually two actions. If I witness a man raping a woman and I have my firearm on me and I pull it and I shoot him, that is one action. It has yielded two results, but it is one action.
It's two actions because it's dependent upon the wills involved. So if you're helping a number of people, like if I
that would be
country, that would be equivalent to all of those independent actions. So it's dependent on the people involved and what they want, not the specific thing that you do. Your particular action in and of itself is only one action. That's true, but the moral significance and how many moral actions it is dependent upon how many people you affect.
So again, we're talking result.
Yes. Obviously,
because it resulted in the rape being stopped and it resulted in his death. However, it was one action.
One physical action, two moral actions. The moral action means what it affects the wills, not a physical action. That's two different things.
So in your opinion,
you're saying that an individual action can have two moral outcomes.
You can have millions of moral outcomes.
And so therefore in one it is moral and the other it is immoral.
Yes. For example, you could pass a bill that saves millions of people's lives while killing other millions of people. That action is immoral in many cases that it saves and immoral in the many cases that it kills. You can do one action that has lots of different moral outcomes.
Yeah, I get that. So my question, Tjump, is in that moment, when you take the simple action of killing the rapist in the moment, in your view, I don't think that's immoral in the slightest, but I get what you're saying from your perspective. It's immoral to kill a person, but moral to save the woman. In that moment, does the positive moral of saving the woman outweigh the immoral action of killing the rapist?
Yes, that's what makes it justified. The justified is you're doing the least involuntary.
Okay. So in that case, it is the most moral decision capable of that person at that time.
Right. So a -2 is higher than -10, but it's still negative. So I'd say that yes, it is the most moral or the least immoral, which are literally the same thing. But it's still immoral. It's still a net negative because you're destroying someone's will in the case.
Well, I think that opinion is subjective if you want to classify it as immoral. But when that's all you have available to you as a limited human with physical limitations, that becomes your reality. That's your paradigm. You have to operate in that world. Therefore, you made the moral decision.
So again, I think you're just confusing terminology here because my standard of objective morality is the best, the absolute best. That's the moral, and everything else is just less.
Even if it's impossible.
Yeah, absolute best, well, logically possible. If it's logically possible, that's the absolute best. Whether or not you're physically capable of doing it doesn't matter, the logical possibility. So I'm giving you an objective standard of morality based off of what's the best of all possible logical worlds and saying that's the objective standard. And if you can't meet that, that's not moral because it's not the objective best. So it's like in the Christians say, all fall short of the glory of God. So we've all sinned or whatever. It's the same kind of essential mathematical analysis. You start with the highest and go down in negatives.
That would be called justice, and justice is how we measure morality.
Hey guys, if I could pause it real quick. So we just brought Pastor John on screen, and for all of those viewing, I just want to make sure everybody knows that anything that David Smalley or Tjump says to Pastor John does not represent the opinion of or how we feel here at the Atheist Roundtable. So I just want to make sure that that's crystal clear. And if we never see Pastor John after this evening, talk to these two or Murder Shed Steve. Carry on.
Your mic is muted, Pastor John.
Yeah, you got a baby screaming in the background.
It's his first time
Can
live.
you hear me now?
Nope, we cannot hear
There
you
we
now.
go.
Nope, no hearing you now.
Okay, all right. Tjump, I didn't know this was going to happen so soon, man, after our conversation on Facebook the other night.
Facebook. Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
No, hey, absolutely no hate toward you whatsoever. But I do have a question for you. So you keep, hi, baby. So sorry. So you keep talking about how it's immoral to impose on someone else's will. So I was actually asking these questions in the comment section, and here's my daughter, my beautiful little girl, for those to see. But I was actually asking this comment this question in the comment section. I want to hear your answer on this. Is it immoral to be attracted to rape? Well, I guess it technically wouldn't even be rape. Necrophilia, right? Is that immoral?
No, personal. There's no thought crimes. You can't have a thought crime.
So that's not a thought crime. If I am actively raping a dead body, or if I'm actively sexually engaging with a dead body, would you consider that immoral?
If the person who owned the body did not consent to it, yes, that would be immoral.
Okay, but what if they did not consent? So they did not consent, but they also did not consent. They gave no opinion on the matter. Maybe they actually would have liked to be raped. Maybe they would have liked that when they were dead. So how can
their property? So if you're destroying their property, it would be immoral.
It's not destroying their property. They're no longer alive.
It's still their property or their family's property, so it'd still be immoral. But no, just being attracted to it would not be.
So how is it immoral just based off the standard of the family? So it's not their property anymore because they're no longer alive. They no longer have a say. They never once said that they were going to want to be raped or not be raped when they were dead.
It's still their property. Their body is their property. It doesn't matter if it's dead or alive.
Even if they're dead, they still have a moral obligation.
It's still their property. It's still their family's property. You get no say over it whatsoever. You don't get to harm other people's bodies, whether they're alive or dead. They're still their property.
But what if my justification is, you know what, I think they would have wanted this?
Well, if they actually did want it and like wrote it in writing and you can confirm that, then it would be fine, I guess. It wouldn't be immoral then. Like if they like gave their body to you for whatever purposes you wanted to, then it wouldn't be immoral.
So you think it's objectively immoral for that to happen? Yeah, baby. So you think it's objectively immoral for that to take place, but under the idea, she sees me and she's yelling, "Dad."
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's objectively morally wrong for you to come on a live stream with a screaming 2-year-old. I think that's universal. Number one. Number two, why do you look like Greg Locke and Eminem had a baby?
Okay, so I love you too, David. This is the first time I've actually got to see your face as we talk to each other. So I've seen you on TikTok.
He continues to make this creepy. He just continues to make this creepy.
No, what was creepy is when I was on his podcast one time and we were on the subject of homosexuality, and he asked me to imagine kissing his fuzzy mustache. You remember? Yeah.
You had some zoom in there.
So yeah, just back to that train of thought though, Tjump. Again, they do not have a will at that point.
No. So
proper
freedom of will applies to yourself and your property. So it doesn't matter if they have a will or not. If it's still their property. So if they have given it to you in their will, it's your property. If they haven't, it's their family's property. So you get no say over it.
So I would say it's presently not their property though. That's what I would argue.
Same thing applies. So if they die, they get to send it to whoever their family members are, just like any other property. So,
okay, say they have no family. There's plenty of people that don't have family.
Still their property. You don't still get to abuse it.
No. I would say it's their past.
I've already answered the question. I've already answered the question. The question is done.
So hold on. I've got something to add.
I don't think the.
Are you saying that human beings can be property?
Your body is your property.
No, look. Here's the problem.
Conscious beings can't be in someone else's property. Slavery is immoral, objectively, unless
Pastor John,
to. Like if I choose to give myself to you as property, that's technically fine.
Pastor, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Pastor John, why are you so desperately finding a way to morally rape a dead body?
No, this is completely a.
I mean, it's the first thing that came to your mind
This is a hypothetical under the
that you came
to the
up with
conversation.
immediately, like on tap, like you've been thinking
No,
about
no,
it.
no.
all day.
No, I've had this conversation.
I know it's
in my head a long time.
Halloween.
I've had this
Creepy.
conversation with J Mike, but well, I mean, I could give 1,000 different examples around this idea. See,
Yeah, and that's the one
You had 999 better ideas, and you chose this one.
So I mean, why are you yelling at me when David was talking about raping baby or torturing babies for fun?
That's
So
there's a morality.
What this
Torturing
is
babies for
what
fun
this
is
is
very
bias.
simple. Like that's a simple thing, but you get like 3 layers to this. You know, like it's been.
But I have a reason. So where I disagree with Tjump is where he is saying that it is the person's property. I would agree under the context of a soul. I would agree under the context of a spirit, where that is presently your property. But if you are no longer inhabiting your body, if you are no longer if you no longer have a say, you are dead from an atheistic perspective. You just enter non-existence and into the abyss. I would say then this is your past property, and therefore it's neither immoral nor moral from that perspective.
Tjump.
Nope. So
Is
atheists still have property rights even after death. You can still give your stuff to other people and give it to charity. Like, no, that's not how property rights work in atheism.
That's only a legal rendering, though. That's where that doesn't really apply in the greater terms of the cosmos.
What do you hold?
Hey guys, is it wrong to butt fuck a goat?
That's a wedding Bible. That's a Bible you get at a wedding. That's a Catholic wedding Bible if I've ever seen one.
Why is Obi-Wan on the picture of a boat?
This is my Pastor John question. Is it wrong to butt fuck a goat if you're a vegan?
Tjump, is it morally okay to release Pastor John's search history after he's dead? Does he own his search history? Considering that it's on a Google server somewhere.
Clearly it's public information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can look at that all you want. You're just going to see a lot of Hebrew and looking up words, and also trying to figure out where David Smalley lives. Still haven't got that far. I'm looking though.
You really want this fuzzy mustache, don't you, baby?
Well, he's not.
Okay, back
dead yet.
Yeah, back to the
All I'm
conversation.
gonna say is it's the bald head for me, man.
Yeah. All right. That's never mind. I'm not gonna say it. Anyway. So yeah, back.
Good choice. You're learning.
It was about you, Oz, and I just decided to honor our.
Better choice. Better choice.
So anyway, so yeah, talking about property, just from that position, you said.
What the hell?
They do.
Hold on.
My man has glamour shots.
Is that John's?
They do this.
This is his search history. John's search history.
Pastor John just got so excited. Pastor John just got so excited. He gets so excited.
He looks like a magician,
Ooh.
like a street magician.
See,
You know, one of those is not me.
So
One of those is not me. Can you find it?
Middle bottom right.
Yeah, but that guy's name is David Smalley. He's in England.
I see the resemblance. It looks it looks like you, but shaved and skinny.
We actually email each other back and forth quite a bit. He gets my emails sometimes. It's like, hey, your sister's mad at you again, and forwards it to her.
I have a work buddy like that works in a corporate headquarters that I get his very private emails all the time. And it's very interesting because we have the same name.
Yeah.
Hey, there's this Nigerian prince. He emailed you. Wanted to know if you want to have $1 million.
Okay, so
is it morally wrong to accept $1 million in exchange for the bank account information, John?
I would say yes.
I don't know how some people operate.
So I don't even gamble.
Day to day.
I don't even play with like the stuffed animal machines, you know, because that's.
If I'm at the grocery store and there's a sale on something and I put the wrong sticker on, is that morally good? I don't know. I can't operate. I don't know.
Oh, well, howdy, everybody. How's it going? I just found something out tonight that I never really expected, but Pastor John and I apparently have very similar interests. Hey, Pastor John.
Hey, buddy. What's up?
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength here, man.
Oh, Murder Shed Steve. I got you. That took me a second. I didn't even mention anything about murder. That was the other guys. I was talking about like necrophilia. So I didn't know you were also a necrophilia, Steve. So
I'm just saying we have similar interests. How's it going, everybody? Hey, David. Tjump.
It's gotta be cold in that murder shed. It's like snowing outside. You have like no ventilation in there.
So is this a question section?
I do have a furnace. It helps.
So do they call you Murder Shed Steve because you apparently live in a shed where things are murdered?
No, that's his middle name. His aunt gave it to him.
Actually, yeah, it is my legal name.
Really?
Murder Shed Steve. The third.
Long history of murder sheds. I didn't realize that.
Steve, I'm just glad to see you again because Tjump and I were talking on Facebook the day before yesterday, and he swore that he killed you and it was a bloodbath. And he said Murder Shed should have never been his name. He's soft. He's soft.
He just gave me a little COVID earlier, but I got over it. So
oh, too bad, John. You'll have to wait.
I was gonna say though, Tjump, I have been training. For trouble next time, Jack. You might have gotten away last time, but not next time. We'll see on Halloween. All right, Cousin Tony, here you go. Gosh, your skin and bones. So hungry, I'm sure. Oh. So I do have one question.
Okay.
What is Pastor John's qualifications, anyways?
So what qualifications are you talking about?
You
don't have to have a degree in talking to atheists. There's a reason for that too. Let me.
Do you happen to work in a morgue?
Well, I don't think that we were talking about those qualifications. I think John is highly qualified for that. But I think it's the pen in the beginning of your name that they're referring to.
So pastor? Yeah. So I am a credentialed minister in the Assembly of God. So if you are familiar with church denominations, it's just Pentecostal.
What's credentialed mean?
It means I can perform funerals. So Steve should like me.
Why are you going right to funerals?
And also weddings.
So what we know about Pastor John, he comes on, he talks about rape and murders and funerals.
Well, hold on. Well, so
I'm loving it.
What he means by credentialed means he has the certification to perform funerals, but the restraining order says otherwise.
Okay, that was good.
From the troll. Is this moral?
No, this is
any takers on that?
No.
What is this?
Apparently,
what
we are
is
imposing on
anything really?
Tjump's will with this discussion. So.
I have a question that's not in the chat. I can't put it in the chat, but yeah. So this is a question for Tjump, and so just someone type this out for me. Question.
Hold on. Is this Murder Shed Steve's bit or your bit?
So I'm pretending that I'm in the comment section where I should be.
Just ask the question.
Oh, now that I know more about Pastor John, he can have this bit for tonight. That's fine. He earned it.
Gosh.
Astronaut, yes.
Sometimes I do wonder if Jesus died for everyone when I talk to you guys. All right.
There he goes, talking about dying and killing again.
So, okay, here's my question for Tjump. So there are certain things that are in just a secular worldview that are not considered immoral whatsoever, such as, for example, sex outside of marriage. So biblically, we have a standard of sex being happening outside of marriage is an immoral thing by God's objective standard.
Unless he commands it.
So I'm not sure exactly what verse you're talking about on that, troll, but we can talk about that.
You can go right to Genesis when he commanded a brother of a dead person to impregnate his dead brother's wife, and then he didn't, and he jizzed on the ground and a lion ate him.
Yeah, none of
That's
the
what happened.
actual
Oh,
Old
okay.
Testament fathers were actually married. Marriage didn't actually exist until like several thousand years later.
So here's the thing: sexual purity is a constant throughout the Bible. Would you agree with that, T-Jump?
Oh hell no!
What about Abraham? How many people did Abraham impregnate? Sarah and all the other ones.
So again, married, but let me get to my question. Okay, sexual purity, definitely, whether you guys see it a different way or not. Sexual purity and the bond between man and wife and marriage and stuff like that. It is a biblical foundation for marriage.
In Republican Christianity.
No.
Wait,
This is where Brad can come in and he can teach you some history.
You mean the concubines and the giving women over and the sex slaves and the capturing the Midianite women to save for yourselves and leave the little girl?
I can't even finish my question.
David,
I'm just trying to figure out where you're getting this idea, bro.
Well, I mean, who was like the wives of Adam and Eve's sons? How did that happen?
Yeah, so the Old Testament is not the foundation of my question. My point is that
let's ignore that.
No, we can talk about it here in a second.
Yeah, so sexual immorality, there's no such thing. Sexual consent between adults, they don't have to be married, totally fine. Marriage is
okay, but so we know that through sex with multiple partners is the primary way that sexual transmitted diseases happen, correct? So it is causing it even though there is consent, between two adults, and if it's happening on a regular basis, one of them gets a disease, that would be immoral, right?
This is like a 6th grade sex ed class in a southern state.
Yes, if you are.
Hey, I'm talking about sex with living human beings. Mute
Jeff.
Okay?
So yes, it is immoral and illegal if you have an STD to not tell your sexual partner, and they can actually sue you for that. That is actually illegal.
But what if you don't know? That's the point.
Oh,
that's the
you
point.
couldn't do anything, so that's not your fault. You were ignorant of it.
Okay. We can talk about the Old Testament in a second, but I just wanted to finish my question.
Well,
now, Shed, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say another question, and I was going to say, Pound, since you're the one who's so murdered tonight, I was going to let you just read it.
Okay, sure, let's do it. To the atheist troll, is there a moral universe? I tried to do it in your voice. How'd I do that?
I think we're not going to try that again.
Reading comprehension. I mean, I think you need to retake 6th grade there. That's not what it said. It said.
Oh, you're right. Is moral a universal? I'm sorry. So
yes,
I think he actually means immorality. That's why it screwed me up. Is because that's not proper English either. Is moral universal?
I don't know why they're asking me. I've only been in the show for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, but P. Mars wants to know is morality universal? I believe is what he was going for.
Oh, I have no idea.
Cool.
Next question.
Great job, Pastor John. Held it.
I mean, someone else can answer that one, but
is it always wrong to torture babies for fun?
I don't think it's okay to torture babies for fun, but there could be a parallel universe in which that somehow is a good thing that's outside of my thought.
I mean, if the babies consent to it.
If everyone gets their own universe, I'm pretty sure John's universe has babies being tortured.
What's up, J Mike? J Mike says, "Oh man, what did I just walk into?
A dumpster fire."
We're not entirely sure, J Mike.
You guys didn't invite me to a debate. What up, man?
Well, you're invited to the dumpster fire, as Atheist Troll has coined it.
So was it mentioned? Just out of curiosity, was it mentioned that Brad was a fill-in last minute? I didn't hear if it was or not.
Was it? I don't know. I didn't hear about it until 10 minutes ago. I was watching the video and I was like, and I live next door, so I ran over here.
But
yeah, the other guy.
I was just curious.
He ran away because I scared him away. I was too smart
John.
for him.
John,
yeah, I'm just curious.
John, why are you here?
I was invited.
I know.
That's-
So this is the Atheist Roundtable. We're going to be chatting with Oz today about his life story. We're going to go deep. We're going to be spreading his cheeks, delving into that ass. Be going deep. But no, that's not what we're doing.
No.
I thought we were doing like the full like Hollywood story. No?
No, we're not digging into my ass. No.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going into the deep ass dive, like a deep dive. No? Wrong channel?
Yeah, bro. This ain't Pornhub.
Oh, God damn it.
Let's get everybody in the chat. Come
What
on,
was?
guys.
I want to hear what my good friend Smalley had to say to me before he was so rudely interrupted by the Tart Boys.
Hell yeah. We're here to demolish Dave Smalley in a debate.
I've already done that multiple times.
Oh, yeah, 5 times, dude. I was going to ask you, why the fuck you going on a show 5 times? Humiliate yourself.
What you want to ask, Smalley?
I forgot. I'm just thinking about spreading and going deep now. I have no clue in my head.
Oh, you want that deep dive. You want that deep dive, Oz.
I kind of do now. I kind of do.
No, you asked. I think it was you who asked me why am I here, and I said I got invited.
I meant like in the chat, when Seth was talking about your spiritual masturbation. It was my favorite clip of all time, and I'm wondering, like, what?
Because
why do you enjoy it? Are you here to save our souls? Are you here to learn about atheist arguments? Like, why are you so fascinated by the atheist? Are you
So
the dark side?
So no, not at all. I listen to atheists far more than I do Christians or apologists because that's where I form my own arguments, and I try not to just regurgitate apologist arguments. So I would like to kind of learn on my own terms, and I think the best way to do it is through experience. That's why I talk to you so much. But when Seth was here and he was talking about it in the chat and everything, these are my friends. I don't mind supporting them. Plain and
So
simple.
I want to tell everybody, John is actually going to be on my 500th episode debating another Christian on free will. It's going to be fun.
And
Ooh.
you,
Yeah.
What is John's position?
Cool.
So
Is it
John
of
is
free will or no
arguing.
free will?
John is arguing in favor of free will, and then I have a Calvinist coming on arguing in favor of predestination. And I'm going to be moderating for the first part and then yelling at both of them for the second part.
Yeah, I don't know who I don't like more.
Well, listen, find out. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Sweet.
I'm gonna have to go for John on this one. John, please don't let the Calvinists win.
John,
Hey, Jeff,
John,
you and I are in. Yeah, what's up, Pastor?
John, you should pull some Pentecostal kung fu and speak in tongues the whole debate.
So
It would probably be the most going I've heard come out of your mouth.
Dang. Sorry, that was my favorite.
Hey, John, if you need any of that Jew knowledge, I'm here to help.
Oh,
I know.
Hey, we got somebody backstage. I don't know who it is. I'm just going to bring him in. I'm going to risk it. Who is Jeff Flo? Anybody know who? Oh, they just disappeared. Yeah, Oz, who have you sent links to tonight? Somebody by the name of Jeff Flo is chilling backstage. Anybody know who that is? But they keep disappearing. So, I don't know who it is. So, if you want to join,
the same server like every time. Could it be somebody from a previous show?
No, definitely not. We're top secret over here at the Atheist Roundtable. We sneak around over here.
So anyway, about murder, rape, and all that, John, go ahead.
Yeah. So the question: were you guys going to do closing statements just for the Tjump Brad section before?
Why do you come on our platform and try to tell everybody how to do their job? Just ask me questions.
Well, it seems I know how to run it. It seems I know how to run a
Stop
debate.
over talking me. Stop over talking me. We're not talking about absolute certainty, John.
Yeah, I'll do a closing statement. Free will is impossible. There's no free will. There you go. Closing statement.
Oh gosh.
Ooh.
Pastor John. Hey, and David Smalley, it's about that time. We got to go to the what is it? What's that comedy club over there in Los Angeles? Where you
Comedy Store?
The Comedy Store.
Let's go,
dude. I've seen you there, man. You've been doing some sets there, right?
Yeah. You've been at the Comedy Store?
No, I've seen some footage of you there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's good, man.
Yeah, I have a monthly show there, man. It's kind of a recurring thing, and right now it's shut down, but I think I'm getting it back in either late November, early December. So yeah, it'd be awesome for you guys to come out and actually see a show live. That'd be cool, man.
Hell yeah.
Fly me out.
I don't know about that.
John, you're sitting front row.
Oh yeah.
He's on a don't even joke. You're on a no-fly list.
And I'm gonna drug his Pepsi.
On Pepsi. So that's actually the first time I ever. That's the first time I ever drank beer. It was a very immoral act. It happened to me in a bar. It was an accident. So no, straight.
We've heard it. Somebody put Blue Moon in their pop.
Yeah.
No, somebody put Blue Moon in his pop. He tells the story all the time.
Pastor John, fingertips are not.
Wait. They put a percentage of beer in coffee.
No, not coffee. I was
Pepsi.
It was my friend's 21st birthday. He just got.
Oh,
back
I heard this story. Never mind, I forgot.
Yeah, he just got back from deployment, and just the short version, no one showed up for his 21st birthday, even when he got home. And so he's like, I'm going to the bar with or without you. Being the good Christian friend I was, I went with him to the bar. I asked, here's the awesome thing. Christians, if you're in the chat, go to the bar for the simple reason they will give you all the free.
All right, guys. Anyway, we'll move on.
J Mike, he's talking to you. J Mike, he's talking to you. Christians,
You're like Nazis with his mic.
No shit, man.
Hey, I'm gonna minimize the screen a little bit here to David, Oz, Tjump, and my favorite shifty Jew, Brad, and his buddy, and we'll leave guys. If you can do a highlight of what? Oh, Jeff as well. If you guys can do a quick highlight of the debate and let Tom and Brad just summarize and get into their closing statements, and absolutely
That's all
awesome.
I was trying to say. I was trying to say.
Hey, you will be quiet, you sassy Christian. You shush it. No, and John, thanks for coming on, bro. I appreciate it, man. You want to hang out backstage, man? We'll have a little bit of fun, okay? Oh, Murder Shed Steve, don't kill anybody.
So I know Tjump, in the middle of that madness, you gave your quick 30-second closing. You want to restate that now that we've got some organization here?
Making fun of free will that John's going to get destroyed on. No. So my actual closing statement is, so I think objective morality can exist. It definitely does. I wrote my own model of objective morality. I believe it is correct. I think you can't have objective morality with a God. And I think there are far better alternatives that don't have the same problems that are purely natural. And I think those offer a far better way to ground and make decisions about how to live than a God-based morality that has lots of drowning babies.
Okay. Brad, next, sir.
Again, I wasn't expecting to be here earlier today. I would have actually done much more in the way of preparing an opening and closing statement. I don't know. Moral absolution, I find that a little bit difficult personally when, comparing the morality of one act versus another when they're the same act on that front. I do see I guess I see the premise for me. In closing, it's not impossible to have an objective morality with a deity. Again, being that we are operating inside a system that is programmed by a programmer. So for us on this plane, it is objective, even if it's subjective in the greater cosmos of the programmer. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Yep. And this is my mistake up top of the show, not saying this, but Brad did come in literally last minute. We had another gentleman that he already knew that Tjump was going to destroy him, so he backed out. And so Brad stepped up to the plate and did it last minute. So thank you for doing that, sir. We do appreciate that. And thank you for being patient with the madness that has ensued tonight and having some fun in between the segments there. But David, you got something?
Yeah, I just wanted to give my thoughts real quick. I've argued before on my show that when a Christian argues for objective morality, that they really can't have one as long as God is in control. So I'm glad that Tjump is actually putting that to paper and building out something formal I may disagree with pieces of it, obviously, but for the most part, it's good to see another atheist advocating for objective morality. I think both guys did a great job tonight. It was informative. It was fun. This is my first experience with the Atheist Roundtable. And for me, the takeaway is the show is mostly just, someone talking and then being completely interrupted by a guy named Murder Shed butt fucking something in a mask, and nobody understands why. So that's how I'm walking from today. So thanks for having me.
You gotta watch the show. You gotta watch the show more often.
So.
Then you'll know why. Then you'll have the answer to that question.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm grateful, David, that somebody finally came on the show and at least got a ballpark idea on the first try. Usually takes them a few episodes, but
David, I'm ending our relationship, you son of a bitch. You said you were not gonna. You said you were not gonna say this on air. David,
I'm sorry,
David.
Who are you,
David?
I have no idea who's talking. I don't know what's going on.
He's playing dumb. He is playing dumb.
I just see a naked guy in spaghetti balls. I have no idea.
All of David's marinara sauce is getting thrown out.
Throw it out. You promised to swallow it.
Yep, that went south. No pun intended. Thank you guys. And Jeff, you were hanging out backstage for the first part of that. Any highlights? Any takeaways other than the absolute roast fest of Pastor Joan? Anything else you took away?
I think we all got some different perspectives on. So here's the thing. I am not the one known for philosophical discussions. That is like the opposite of what I do because I don't like arguing semantics.
You did good against Darth Dawkins. You philosophically.
Yes, he did.
His ass.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, but see, that's just who, like, no training whatsoever. That's just who I am, how I ask questions. But I had somebody else going off about other things and earlier in Instagram, and it became a philosophical discussion, and rather than getting to a truth statement, we were just arguing over the definition of words. That's what a lot of times it can turn into, and I think this really did not turn into that. And I think the way that you highlighted some of the morality arguments that I hear most common, you brought it from a very complicated, I don't want to talk about this in my mind, to something where I'm like, okay, cool. It's actually pretty simple, and here's an easier way to understand it. So I appreciate that clarity.
And also, Brad, for a believer, honestly, dude, like I talk with believers like twice a week. I'm telling you, Brad is like really receptive of that, willing to think about things, and super like just reasonable with the responses, which usually doesn't happen in these conversations. So it was a great connect. It was a great match having both of these guys together tonight.
Agreed. And I would like to do this again. We can do a different topic because I think you guys are a great match for each other. Oh, what the hell?
Did you guys know that the Bible condones slavery? Like, I'm just seeing this right now, and it's just blowing my mind. But anyway, how you guys doing? You guys doing good?
Which wedding did you rip off to get that Bible?
Which wedding? Oh, I went through.
No, not you, him. David. Because that is a Catholic wedding Bible if I've ever seen one.
Actually, this is one of the Bibles that was on my coffee table growing up. And you know that because Jesus is white with blonde hair. So
open it to the first few pages and see if there's a wedding message in there.
Let's see.
Why is Obi-Wan Kenobi on the cover of a book?
Yeah.
Praise be to Owen McGregor.
Certificate of marriage. Literally right
Yeah.
I told you. I spotted that thing from a mile away. That's a Catholic wedding Bible if I've ever seen
it. It's got like the wife's genealogy, the husband's genealogy, the slave's genealogy. It's incredible.
Oh, yeah. They're servants, but yeah, they work for you. They live for you. You tell them what to do, but they're biblical servants.
That you can pass down because they're your property, but they're servants.
They're servants.
Give them a wife, you can keep them forever.
Yeah. If they have, by the way, did you know that kids, like, they don't actually belong to you. They belong to the master. And the only way
they might owe a debt.
Well,
those children owe a debt.
Yeah,
that's why.
I just had somebody trying to compare this to the NBA and I was like, I'm pretty sure like LeBron James' kid isn't born into the NBA. And they're like, you're gonna be a big point guard, and you have no choice about it, sir. It just makes no sense at all.
And also, don't forget, you can beat them within an inch of their life as long as they don't die within 48 hours. You're off the hook.
Correct. You're good.
Praise God.
Not a minute after either.
So if we can have a moment of silence, we're going to have Pastor Joan come in and pray about murder, molestations, and whatever else disgusting thing he wants to pray about.
Necrophilia.
He likes to do. Necrophilia. Yep. But no, J. Mike, what's up, brother?
How you doing, man? You're looking snazzy.
Yeah. I convinced Pasta Mike to send me a check so I can actually buy some dress clothes. So that's what happened. But no, it was good. Good conversation tonight. And then before we further just ramble and talk shit here, before we go, one last time, we'll start again. Tjump, real quick. How do they find you? Because we had some people on here that weren't on before. How do we find you on the interwebs?
YouTube.com/Tjump. I have a website, tomjump.org. I'm super professional and stuff now.
How's the shapes conversation?
And just if you weren't here for the top of the show, my fans only page is linked to Tom's website. So for a certain fee, you can get some nudes, but it's a pretty high fee.
Hold on, Oz. I literally had a show with Tjump the other day, and he tells me that my OnlyFans page was linked. So now I'm a little bit.
Well, I have evidence. I have evidence.
I switched over to Oz's because Oz's pays more. Like people really don't like the beard. They're not really into the beard.
It's the bush, isn't it? It's always the bush. Always.
Tjump, as always, man. Thanks for hanging out at the Atheist Roundtable. We appreciate it. And then Brad, how do we find you, man?
Well, you can search on YouTube for Alternate Media, spelled ALTARNATE Media, spelled normal. I'm also on TikTok, Alternate Media Brad, spelled the same way. Also on Instagram. That's pretty much the only media platforms I've got at this point.
You show me YouTube.
And then he also sells beard oil on the side.
Yep.
So if you need to order that, he does take care of that.
Yeah, beard oil, hats, and cigars.
And whiskey.
Yeah, you could basically put a side to side and see like who doesn't use beard oil and who does use beard oil, and then be like, yeah, I don't want to look like Jesus Mike, and that's why I'm gonna unsubscribe from his OnlyFans.
So guys, there's someone in chat asking if I'm religious. What happened? Kay is literally asking if Smalley is religious. Please
wait. The whole time I was listening to you talk all this whole time, I thought you were religious. So
you do look like one of those like young New Age pastors that kind of one of those leaders of the new churches. Like, picture kind of says it all.
Leader of the new churches.
Hey, don't worry about that stuff right now. Hey, you can take all that down. That's stupid. That's also deleted off my website anyway. No, I'm definitely not religious. I want to say November 7th, guys, I'm doing a live 12-hour charity event fundraiser for a young woman who is a survivor of a cult and sex trafficking. And we're raising money for all from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a 12-hour broadcast to raise money for her to help her move out of a homeless shelter and into community living in Seattle. So if you guys want to tune into my website, davidcsmalley.com, all the info will be there coming up soon. So mark your calendars for that.
Awesome.
We really helped this young lady out.
Sweet.
No, yeah. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that, Smalley. And then before we proceed in the shit talking, David, any other places or anything else you have going on that you want to talk about? We appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us tonight. Thank you very much. But yeah, shill, and plug.
Oh, just David C. Smalley. Everything's David C. Smalley, man. I have a brand new YouTube page. It's like literally brand new. It's youtube.com/David C. Smalley Clips. It only has like 200 subs over there. My other one's almost 7,000, but I'm having issues with YouTube. So I moved over and got a new channel. Everybody would go there and subscribe. That's awesome. But the big thing for me right now is November 7th. I really want to help out. As a matter of fact, I want some of you guys to join me as guests. I'm booking 30-minute slots so I can shoot you a link for you to pick your 30-minute slot. I want to rally all your troops, get all your fans, all your listeners, all your viewers to come, chip in $5 or $10 for this young lady. It's called a live broadcast for Brooklyn, November 7th. That's the most important thing I could say right now.
Yeah, we'd love to help. Let us know if we can help. We will absolutely. Cool. And I do want to say if you enjoy watching and listening to debates, and specifically if you like to listen to Matt Slick get his ass kicked, go check out David Smalley and Mr. Slick debating Is God a Moral Monster? It is pure entertainment. So go to watch. I will plug that one. That that was fantastic. But all right, guys. Well, we can get into a like 2, 3, 4 minutes of shit talking, and then I think we're going.
Hey, nice jacket, Oz. Where's the rest of it?
I got a question.
T-Jump. You talking about 3 feet earlier. I'm pretty sure that couch is 3 feet wide and subjectively full of goose down.
You're underestimating by about 3 or 4 feet. I'm 6'2", so this is a big chair.
I thought you were laying in a beanbag.
This is a big ass chair.
If the shit talking has started, Oz, what are you doing to Pastor John in the background image? I'm a little confused. It's looking, I said if the shit talking has commenced, what is going on in the background image between?
I thought he was laying in a beanbag.
Yeah.
What is that?
The Jeff. What did you do?
That looks like a lazy boy right there. I used to sell furniture.
It is a lazy boy Crandall recliner.
You used to do a lot of things.
He still does a lot of things.
Yeah. Not really. I don't know. I don't know how that's a diss. Thank you. I'm a hard worker. Appreciate it.
No, just keep talking.
Just say you're not helping yourself, man. Just let it go.
I come on this channel just to be a punching bag.
I'm sure you do.
I've never met.
Take it easy, John. John, we got children to watch the show.
Bro, John, I love you to pieces, but sometimes, man,
Jonathan,
hard on me.
I've never met a youth pastor that actually works hard. I've never met a youth pastor that works hard. They just hang out at Starbucks and talk to teenagers.
John. Okay. All of this is ultimately my
part of the job, Oz.
And not for nothing, but
now what's up, Smalley? Go ahead.
I said I know all of this is ultimately my fault. I found you on TikTok, started picking on you. You decided to start a career somehow. I don't know what that
I this is 100%. I would not be here tonight if that man in the corner did not challenge me on a TikTok comment.
Yeah,
100%.
I swear to God, his first words to me were, "Hey, don't worry about me. I've handled the likes of David Smalley." That was the first thing he said to me. I was like, "Oh God, this guy's great. This guy's great. I love it."
It's kind of funny because if Pastor John hadn't tried to turn TikTok into a career, I wouldn't be here. So
see the domino effect.
Yeah.
That's called determinism.
And hey, there Oz and I are meeting on blackpeoplemeet.com. Such is life.
So many questions.
Golly.
I met J Mike on Rumble.
Oh my God.
Hey, T-Jump, what are you getting into after this, buddy? You going to go hang out with Murder Shed Steve?
Yeah, I'm messaging him on Grindr right now.
Oh, you filthy animal. You filthy animal, T-Jump.
Hey, Pastor John, what's Grindr?
I'm pretty sure it's where
Hey,
I'm
John,
pretty sure it's where homosexuals can meet like Tinder, right?
Please stop answering that.
Am I right?
John's like, he goes, I'm pretty sure it's I don't recall exactly, but it's when two living humans do a weird thing.
He did that. Well, I'm kind of pretty sure that.
I'm not sure. I can't be certain about this, but I've heard my friend.
Somebody told me something about it.
I want to say I was
man. I told you.
Filming. There was a movie we did called My Week in Atheism in like 2014, where I filmed with a Christian filmmaker for a long time. And a lot of the time, his son, he's like super religious dude. His name's John Christie. This is on Amazon if you guys want to go see it. But
is that the comedian?
His son, no. His son was doing a lot of the filming, and he's going to like school to be religious as well. He was going to some kind of preaching school or whatever. And I made some comment. John was talking about something, and we were off camera, and his son was holding the camera. His son's like 17, 18 years old. And I made some comment. I was like, yeah, I saw something like that on RedTube. And his son goes, and then they looked at each other, and I was like, you want to tell your dad what RedTube is? It was the most awkward fucking moment. It was amazing. His dad had no clue.
I know that one immediately. just because of my past.
I'm sure you do.
No, because of my no.
Because
It's
of your
better.
past.
It's much better than talking to Anthony Mack.
Just let it go, dude.
John just keeps saying stuff and then looking immediately like, why am I talking?
Where is
You know what I want to
Mrs.,
see? I just want to see a clip compilation of John coming on here. Like,
And,
I
like,
don't
saying-
RedTube immediately. I come on this channel. Like, it's gonna be good
who's the
stuff.
guy from Arrested Development that always says all the wrong things at the wrong times. You know what I'm talking about? The guy who's like, I proved myself unreasonable.
You guys will like this. This is probably one of my most embarrassing preaching moments. The thing that I said while actually on stage in front of my congregation. So there was a.
You're the youth pastor. How do you have a congregation?
So it's still a congregation. Definitionally, when people congregate in one big room, it's a congregation. So you can look it up later. I know it's a big word.
Even
I got it.
All right.
I got it.
So
Your attempt at humor is ridiculous tonight, but go ahead.
all right. So anyway, I was on stage and I was preaching, and I remember there were a couple new kids out there tonight, and
Donnie?
I was talking. Say what? Or not tonight? But
not the new kids. I'm sorry. I'm from the 80s.
No.
Oh, I fell asleep. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
When do we get pizza? When do we get pizza?
I was going to roast myself, but you guys aren't.
I want to hear this. No, I want to hear it.
I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead, John.
I seriously want to happen. Did you accidentally tell the truth, or like what happened?
Nope.
What happened on stage?
Deep breath. No, deep breath. Come on, John. Come with.
Okay, I'm trying. Can I finish my sentence? Is that doable?
Let's bring it back down. Come on, let's bring it back down.
All right. So anyway, I was on stage and I was preaching and I was saying we basically something along the lines of we've got to know Jesus. We've got to know who Jesus is. And I said, and I'm not talking about the Mexican kid that plays soccer.
You did.
I did. It just so happens one of the new kids who was in my congregation that night, his name was Jesus. Him and his friends, they got up and they walked out.
Jonathan,
you're a racist asshole.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Damn.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask what you were wearing that night?
I don't remember. Probably jeans and a shirt.
Okay, it's just for my record.
Yeah, it's Jake from State Farm.
Oz, write down jeans and a shirt for me.
I can remember that one.
Okay.
T-Jump's got that bling going. What do you got going there, man?
This is a butt scratcher.
Yes.
How was the show?
I also have one, and I also put it in my mouth.
Okay, now you're doing the Pastor John thing.
Nope.
Stop answering questions.
Nobody asked.
David Smalley's like, all these fucking years. God damn it. I've been professional. I've been doing
it can all end in one night.
What I was about to say actually is, how is this show half the length of my podcast, but it feels twice as long?
All right. Well, on that note, guys, we're going to wrap the show.
I was going to say, David, why do you think I left? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Mike genuinely did quit and come back and say, you know what, guys, I can hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
He told me to fuck off too. By the way, he did. He told me to go fuck myself. He said I'm a big. What did he call me? What was that?
A big duty.
A big duty head. A duty head. Yeah.
Oh, classic.
Yeah. The old that old rascal. What's this right here?
Back in the sandbox.
The butt scratcher.
Butt scratcher.
Pasta. We get these guys together if they're willing, and have a little party afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to Smalley's place.
Can I debate John on whether or not a soul patch is cool in 2020?
only if he has the classic youth pastor fedora. But it's got to be the plaid one. Can't be solid colors. Can't be stripes. Got to be the plaid.
And he's got to have a cool shirt and sneakers.
Real quick, just before we leave, just before we go, hey, T-Jump, you're not on TikTok, right, T-Jump?
No, I think the United States banned it before I downloaded it.
No, did they?
No.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
But, hey, Hey, I got to give it to Smalley though. He's probably one of the only famous atheists, for lack of a better term, that's on TikTok. That's viral for non-atheist content.
This is true.
Very true.
What is the content? I'm kind of worried to ask.
Just like comedic
He
or
beats on stuff.
Yeah, rhythmic shit. Like because he's a musician, so he'll like comedy stuff. Like like he'll that one thing that he did, crack baby, slides into shot in his bathroom, just like the bathroom mirror. He slides into shot like into Tom Cruise, and he just starts beatboxing and then starts tapping on shit, and then 1 million views. I'm like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah, it's weird.
David, one day we're gonna have to have a drum off.
Okay.
Kick your ass.
He will eat you.
Why are you still talking? Now you're talking about eating.
Hey,
me.
but I must
Why
admit
would
though,
you eat
hey
somebody?
Jeff did rip pages out of the Quran in an 8-second video, and it got like 2 million views.
Nice.
No. I put a Quran on a desk and said I was going to burn it at a future date, which I was not going to do. That got 1.2 million views because they were trying to stop me from burning the book by getting my account banned. Which, by the way, I found out that if your video goes to review 3 times and wins, it permanently stays no matter how many people try and ban it.
Like triple
That is
jeopardy.
cool. That is cool.
Nice.
So 1.2 million views, and 99% of it came from Indonesia.
What?
It's kind of
Couldn't
like
tell you. That's also where like 90% of my death threats come from.
And who would know that? The troll would know that.
It's always some kid that's like, I'm gonna call the police and tell them that you're blasphemous, and I'm like, oh, you don't live in America, do you?
Mega son.
No, with all due respect, though, Brad, you're such a gentleman. To like echoing David, thank you for having such an awesome, cordial debate with Tom and Pastor John. You got the hardest chin in the Christian game, my friend. You take.
I'm so sick of throwing pearls to swine.
Yeah, J Mike, J Mike and myself and Jeff and Oz, we all chat with you off this stage. So you're a cool dude. And David, man, it's such a pleasure to have you on, my friend. You're an awesome guy. We think you're such an advocate for the community. Thank you for coming on, and hopefully we can come over to your show and fuck up your viewership.
No.
But
thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. No, it's been a pleasure, bro. You killed it. Thanks for your time tonight. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. It was a pleasure. Had a blast.
Yeah. And Oz, take it away, my friend.